Alrighty, folks. Today we are going to be talking about writing conclusions for the scientific method. And most of today is just going to be a work day for you to finish your lab and work on your conclusion. So let's go ahead and get started. First things first, I'd like you to go ahead and take Quick Quiz 1.4. Quick reminder, the first attempt at the Quick Quiz, please do it without your notes or any help, just to see what you know and what you don't know. Go ahead and pause the video, take the Quick Quiz, and then come on back. All right, our learning target for today is I can explain and apply the steps of the scientific method. All right, before we get started today on talking about conclusion, I want to take a step back to yesterday and talk a little bit about quantitative versus qualitative observation. So, what I want you to do is I want you to turn in your packet to this sheet called the Color Dynamo machine. And what we're going to do here is I'm going to do a demo for you with the Color Dynamo machine. And during this demonstration, I would like you to record 3 quantitative observations, number-based observations, or 3 qualitative observations. And because we are not in person, you're going to need to mostly focus on what you can see in this. So there should be plenty of things for you to observe. So let's go ahead and do that.
Hey folks, this is the Color Dynamo machine, and we're going to use it in order to learn a little bit about quantitative and qualitative observations. So what's going to happen here is that I'm going to use the machine, and while I'm using it, I want you to make 3 quantitative and 3 qualitative observations on your handout. So let's get started. Right here, I have my first liquid. So I'm going to bring this up close so you can see it, and you can see there's about 450 milliliters in this beaker. All right, so now I'm going to take this liquid, I'm going to pour it into the Color Dynamo machine, and we're going to see what happens. So you get about 250 milliliters of that liquid. All right, folks. So once you have your 3 quantitative and qualitative observations, I would also like to have you draw what you think is happening in here in order to make the Color Dynamo work. I don't care if you have Mickey Mouse casting a magical spell. I want you to try something. All right.
All right, now that we have that all done, let's go ahead and talk about how to write a conclusion. So this is actually in your packet as well if you want to turn to this, but we are going to be using this as our format for conclusions for the entire year. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of read through this and point out point out a couple of things. So how to write a conclusion. I want you to write a well-written paragraph using proper grammar and punctuation. So we have 5 major areas that I am going to grade on. Number 1, the first thing you need to do is restate the purpose for doing your lab. Number 2, you briefly describe how you did your lab. So this is basically a summary of your procedure. I don't want you to cut and paste your procedure into here. I don't want you to write out your entire procedure. I want you to briefly describe how you did the lab. I can look at your procedure if I want a more detailed version. Number 3, answer the hypothesis or respond to your statement. So basically here you're saying, was your hypothesis correct or incorrect and why? And you should use final numerical results to indicate whether or not these results support your hypothesis. So you need to actually use the numbers that you got in order to say whether your hypothesis was correct or not. We're using evidence here. Next, I want you to describe any experimental errors, what problems you ran into, what could you do to improve the lab. Here are a couple of things that I never want you to respond with. You will lose points if you have these. I don't want you to respond with you had no problems. I guarantee you had problems. If I did or when I do this lab, I have problems. I have problems with every lab. Everyone has problems and ways to improve. I never want you to respond with perform more trials, try harder, get a new partner, get better equipment, or take more time. I want you to think about substantive things that you can do in the lab. Finally, future research questions. Write one or two good questions that relate to the experiment that you concluded. Basically, what is another experiment similar to this one that you could do? All right, let's go ahead. On the next page, you will see examples of a bad conclusion versus a good conclusion. So let's do a bad conclusion for our paper airplane. This would not get you a very good grade. So the purpose, what material makes a paper airplane fly farthest? Metal, wood, or paper? What material makes a paper airplane fly farthest? Metal, wood, or paper? We folded airplanes out of three materials and threw them. We found that the wood airplane flew the farthest. A problem with my lab was the lab was my partner didn't pay attention. If I do this lab again, I'll have a different lab partner. So a couple of issues here. All you did was copy and paste your purpose. You should be restating your purpose as a statement. Um, this is far too brief of a summary of your procedure. I want more detail than this. So this is way too short. You'll see in just a moment what a good amount of detail is. We found the wood airplane flew the farthest. You don't address your hypothesis and you don't provide any data to support that claim. So that is not enough information. A problem with my lab with the lab was my partner didn't pay attention. That that is one of our improvements that we don't want to list. So I want something else that could have gone better. And if I do this lab again, I'll have a different lab partner. Once again, does not address a future research opportunity. All right, here would be a good conclusion for the same purpose and lab. The purpose of this lab was to determine which construction material would result in the farthest flying airplane, metal, wood, or paper. So right off the bat there, we have restated our purpose in the form of a statement. In the lab, we fold airplanes of a notebook-sized sheet of each material according to the instructions found in this video. We went into the hallway and made sure there was no breeze and threw the paper airplanes from the same starting spot using our dominant hand. So there, in 2 sentences, I summarized what we did. I gave some information, but I didn't go into incredible detail like I do with the procedure. We found that the metal plane on average flew 6 meters, the wood plane on average flew 5.5 meters, and the paper plane on average flew 4.3 meters. There is my data. This supported our hypothesis because we thought metal is the sturdiest material and would make a better aerofoil. So I'm restating my hypothesis and saying whether our data supported it or not. Metal flew farther by 0.5 meters, once again summarizing my data. Some problems we had with the lab was that the wood plane shattered when it hit the ground. So that's an actual issue that came up with the lab. If we were to do this again, we would use stronger material than wood. Good improvement. In the future, we could research if different styles of paper airplanes fly farther or what material has the longest hang time. So similar idea or similar experiments to the one we just did, but different. So use this as the exemplar for when you're writing your conclusion. This is or obviously don't copy this, but try to model it off of, or your conclusion off of this. All right, so that's really it. A couple of things. If you have any questions, please check in with me. As we talked about yesterday, I've got a link in the Schoology folder where you can schedule an appointment with me. This will take you to my Google Calendar, and you can click on a 10-minute office hour appointment slot, and we can chat and make that happen. So finally, your conclusion. In the folder today, you will find a link to a separate assignment called the Paper Airplane Lab Conclusion, and it'll take you to this document. This has all of the different parts of the conclusion listed out and has it broken into multiple parts. We will practice doing it like this. If you're in STEM, your assignment will look slightly different, but basically the same. So this is a separate assignment. This assignment is worth summative points. I have here 5, but I actually think it's worth 10. Check the assignment to see what it is. Everybody writes their own conclusion, okay? I know that if you worked with a partner that I said you could do the lab together, that's fine. Each of you needs to write your own conclusion. Collaborate, but don't copy. Use your time to finish writing and running your lab today. So if you haven't finished your procedure, or if you need help, or if you need to run your lab, go ahead and use the rest of class time, or the time that you would spend in class today, writing and running your lab. And once you're done with that, knock out your conclusion. Please check in with me if you have any questions. I'll be very happy to help you with any part of your lab. And just a reminder, this is all due on Friday, September 18th by midnight. So with that being said, one final reminder that's very important. When you finish and you are in the My Document section of the Schoology assignment, you have to click this white Submit Assignment button and then actually click Submit Assignment. If you don't do that, I cannot grade it. Okay, that's the, if you don't click this, it's the same thing of having done your assignment but keeping it in your binder and not giving it to me. You need to click Submit Assignment, and then I will be able to grade it. So that's it, folks. Have a great day.